What is going on, everybody? And in this video, we're giving you a state of the market and stock picks for March 10th, 2022. So if that sounds like there's something you're interested in to get daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day and the week ahead, consider subscribing. So let's get into the state of the market. So the market right now, earlier today, there was pre-market. There was talk about essentially Ukraine wanting to come to essentially some kind of consensus, which was funny given the circumstances. But that started driving the market up. Commodities took these commodities that have been going parabolic took an absolute break fast to the downside. You had wheat, petroleum, gold, everything was just falling quickly. Bitcoin had actually some really good news as far as the regulations that are coming into play. There was a leaked document that came out about crypto regulations, which could actually be extremely bullish in the long run for crypto. So crypto had a huge move again, while all commodities took a leap of faith and essentially almost cut a good percentage of their current gains. Again, something I talked about with commodities. Commodities is essentially a hot air balloon here. It was waiting to be popped. Will it continue? It really just depends. You're getting news. This is why I keep saying specific news events will come out and they will either drop things quickly, like commodities that don't typically move. This is something you don't want to get FOMO in, is like commodities, because commodities are making moves that they rarely make. And when they do, you are playing with fire if you try to stay in it too long. Being said, that's not saying you can't play them, but you have to be aware that the risk that you're putting on when you're dealing with commodities that don't typically move in this fashion, this parabolic way. And now, being said, with all that given, the market started pushing and hit some critical levels. We were back at some critical levels, essentially we're getting closer to back that 4,400. Yes, we still got a ways to go, but we got back to the 4,300. We're trying to retest that trend line. This is what's really going to matter going forward tomorrow. We do have core CPI. Maybe that will be enough to gap us up. But there's one thing to also consider. What just happened after hours today was Amazon is announcing I believe it's a 20-to-1 stock split. And if that's the case, I believe it is actually in March. It's in May is when they are voting on it. But it is a 20-to-1 stock split. So it has gone parabolic after hours. I don't know if that's going to help the market push it over where it is. The market itself has not moved. The market, again, is still very sensitive to what's going on. We have the Fed FOMC next week. There's still a lot of things that are in play that weigh a lot heavier than Amazon going up 100 points after hours, or whatever the case it was after hours. But ultimately understand that I think we are getting to a turning point here. Again, anything can happen. We've seen that. Any news coming out of Russia can escalate things very quickly and then change the direction very quickly. But the good thing is we're seeing strength rotate back into tech, back into a lot of the safe havens. So your Tesla, your Google was very strong today. Your Apple and Microsoft were churning at one point. Banks were churning, which is good to see. Chips were churning, which was another big thing to see. So you're starting to see a lot of reversal on a lot of these things. But considering that they have taken a turn to the downside, we are retesting a lot of 200-day moving averages, which is not a good thing, because normally, again, first attempts, you get rejected pretty hard. And then from that point, if there is enough strength there, we'll attempt to try to retest it and break it. Else we will continue selling. And again, there's a lot of what ifs that could cause us to sell. but there is more positive in the market, and that's what the market's kind of looking for, is some kind of positivity. Any positivity is causing the market to push. So like I talked before, there is still a ton of money in the system. So any positivity would allow the market to keep pushing up. And then we also have tax credits, something else I think people tend to forget, getting children tax credits as well. So I think that's like 1,600, allotted 1,600 for kids as well. So with that being added in, you're getting more money back into the system. And then you also have another bill that is trying to get passed to essentially fund more of the Build Back Better and part of Ukraine as well. And there was a lot of money trying to go out to Ukraine. So there's just a lot of money still floating in the system. So we have to be mindful of that. And that's what is keeping this market pushing. Yes, it's borrowed credit, but understand that is what is making this market push, even though the world, all the craziness that's going on in the world will continue to push this market up. And we're seeing the market wants to reverse. All it's going to take is for a ceasefire, and this market will go parabolic for a day or two. But know that even what has currently happened, even if the market turned and went to all-time highs tomorrow, it is going to impact earnings in the upcoming earnings. So you have to be aware of that. You have to realize that things are going to be dramatically affected for the next couple months because of what has currently gone on. And again, it depends on how long this thing is getting dragged out. So technical wise, again, SPX, we're looking for that 43.25 tomorrow. See if we can break that. We tagged that 4,300, got a little bit of rejection, but the nice thing to see here is this is just a normal rejection. I think this can actually push back up through. We are holding. So again, we want to try to break. The biggest test is going to be trying to get back up to that 4,400 mark and see if we can break that. That will be the test. We got core CPI tomorrow. It could start giving us some momentum. But ultimately, we're really keeping an eye on that 4,400 mark. We need to break that. If we want to reverse this, we need to break that. And then that's still not a full committal to all-time highs. That just means we've broken the trend, which is a very positive thing. We would probably get a couple more days run. And then, again, I think once we get through the Russia, if there's ever a ceasefire and this thing is essentially figured out, yes, there'll be long-term consequences to what's happened. We'll see that in earnings, but right now, like the market, again, still has tons of money in the system. The market will continue to push up. The market will continue, I think, to make all-time highs. The market will continue to run. Again, depending how hawkish the Fed want to come in. A lot of people are saying that everything's already priced in. Everything's priced in. That's why we're not selling. There has been a big price in from what we have right now, so we have to consider that. But again, there's just so much money in the system that you probably won't. You'll see a delayed reaction in everything that's going on, and so you won't. It won't be right now, right? It won't be intimate. It'll be this very moment, right? It will be further down the road. You'll see the impact of it later on down the road. So again, we want to check that level. Again, our current floor right now is sitting at that 41.60 mark right now. And we're really watching that bottom zone. That's the danger zone. We don't want to be sitting there too long or flirting with that zone very much at all. So you want to see where we go from here on SPX. Again, Bitcoin got that fantastic news. Again, something I keep reiterating, 32, I think, is the solid base, might be the new base for Bitcoin. And with the leaked documents from Janet Yellen earlier today, I think it could be extremely bullish moving forward, possibly in the weekend. Bitcoin likes to make bigger moves towards the end of the week, into the weekend. Looks like it could be a possibility. Maybe we can get a little bit of gap up overnight. Again, we need to break that 45. We need to break that 45 or that 46K mark. I think we're good. We need to break and a retest, and then we can start heading back up and start retesting some older resistance that was support. So I really like Bitcoin where it's at. Again, mass adoption, and it's only going to get better for crypto when the government is involved. But again, it really depends on what they do. They have to. We have to see what they do on restrictions. And their primary goal is for stablecoin. That's what they're looking at, and pegging a stablecoin, which from my understanding, pegging a stablecoin is something that you can't quite do. Everything is so volatile; it's still hard to peg something like that. But they are also, they're trying to figure out who is taking responsibility for what when it comes to crypto, and that's where their biggest misunderstanding is, and why it's taken so long for the Fed to kind of see what steps to take as far as regulation goes, who is responsible for what. Those are all things that need to be worked out, and why it's taken so long. But with everything going on with Russia and their use of crypto, they're trying to expedite this current process to try to get some regulation on it. But the good thing is that the government does understand the power of crypto, and I think themselves they'd be shooting themselves in the foot if they didn't if they put too many regulations on crypto, because it's a very there are many different aspects in which they can tax and take advantage of crypto, and it would again allow everybody else to have another investment. So that being said, I do again currently like Bitcoin. I want to see where that goes. Tomorrow, again, I know I reiterate a lot of the same stuff, but even with everything going on, you really have to focus your firepower where it needs to be focused on during times like this, and kind of let everything else, all the rest of the noise, kind of get drowned out until the market stabilizes and starts really pushing. Tesla being the big one. It's really at a critical point here tomorrow. I want to watch essentially that 862 mark. If we can open above that and hold above that, we're going to get a solid shot to 880. Again, there'll be another tough resistance there we need to break. But if we can break that, we got a pretty nice run up to the 900s. And then we should start getting some gas fairly quickly, especially on the daily. Because if you look at the daily, we've been flirting with this line. It's really just breaking this line. If we get a solid bar above this line, we can really start running, going parabolic. I think we could really start hitting just over 1K again. It's a strong possibility, but we need that break. If this wicks back down tomorrow and we start selling, that may be it. So we really want to see this candle down to 700 might have been their dip on Tesla. But again, once we do break here, I think we're solid from that point. Google, another big one here. To definitely keep on watch. Same kind of thing. We got a trend going here. Can we get a candle that opens above here? If we can get a candle that opens above 2668 tomorrow, a solid daily candle, I think that would be great if we could retest and then start running from here. Again, they got their stock split as well coming in July, I believe it is. So this is going to be another big runner here. You're going to get some stock split news and possibly start running with this. Something I definitely want to watch. UPST, I do really like this. They crushed earnings. This doesn't look the greatest on the daily here. We are holding the support here at the 114 mark. Now it looks like we broke and we retested. This is one thing I do like on this daily setup here. That we got a retest on UPST. Again, their fundamentals are really good. And considering everything going on with inflation, I think they're really primed to do very well in the next coming months. As far as like stock picks of the year, this very well could be one of them. I think Tesla is going to take it just because of the circumstances. Yes, Tesla's had some incredible past 2 years, but it's even going to get better. They're always improving, always innovating. They're always cutting edge, and that's what's going to help them get ahead. But UPST, I think, is going to be a big one for this year. It might be my pick for the full year this year at the end of the year. So we have to see how this goes. But I do like the retest. I want to see how this goes. I think we're going to make our way all the way back up to try to attempt the 160 mark. Again, when we break that, I think as long as if the market really starts going, if we get a ceasefire, I think we can break this 160 mark and possibly start floating around that 180. But again, it really just depends. We still need the all clear with Russia and Ukraine before the stuff really starts to go much further. Now, chips started getting a lot of strength too. My only concern with chips is that the next thing they're going to sanction is chips, semiconductors. You're going to have to be careful because that happens. That's going to collapse everything. So even though we're getting this mini pop, we still have to keep in consideration what is going on here, because that could very well chip sink. That's going to sink all tech. That's going to bring everything back down. So again, it still got pretty clean. If we can get a clean break of the 235 here, you get a nice run up to about 250. And then we're going to try to retest that trend. You get a hard rejection off that more than likely, back down to the 235, then possibly a break is kind of what I'm looking for there on the video. I know that's not an all in one day, but some key levels I really want to watch, especially on chips, as chips starts catching momentum. Airbnb, maybe not so much. Amazon. Now, tomorrow will be interesting with Amazon. I love TOS. Now, with Amazon, you do have resistance essentially around that 3K mark, which we did get rejected off of it. But you have a huge bull flag here tomorrow. If we can open above that 3K tomorrow, this can really start ripping, especially a first full day of this with stock split, and maybe just buy the dip and watch this thing rip tomorrow. So you definitely want to keep an eye on Amazon and see where it goes. Again, with this move, the premiums are going to be extremely, extremely high. So you really want to be paying attention to market sentiments, how the market's holding up. Even with this news, if the market starts to crack, this is going to come right back down. So if this pre-market is way back, if this is half of this tomorrow, staying essentially at that 28.75 tomorrow, you really want to be mindful about trying to take this thing long, only because of the fact that the market may see differently. Again, the market hardly moved even after this move. This happened right at the close of the bell, and then the things didn't hardly move. So you got to keep that in mind. But it's definitely one to be keeping on watch. Shop could be potentially another big one. It's in a good level. I don't like this. This 585 mark. If we break back down below this, we can go back down to the 520 mark. I'm not really sure why Shop is just continuing to sell off the way it has. It's got great potential, and I think when it starts reversing, it's going to be one of the ones you want to get in when the whole market reverses. But I think it's one of the ones you're going to want to keep on watching that 601 mark, essentially that 600, right? That psychological level. You want it to break that and then see where we go from that point. And then as far as anything else tomorrow, I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to make this video too long. I think, again, just stay with strength. We may be getting some reversal at this point. Banks, again, something you always need to watch is banks. See how banks are doing. That's important. See your industry leaders. If they're running, that's important. But that's pretty much it. Just be mindful, be nimble, and take care of yourself, because it's definitely a war out there each and every day. So, but if you made this far, go ahead and drop a like button. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.